Metro Boomin, want some more, nigga. Automatic, in the trunk. Shoot the maggots with the pump. Thought it natty, love the paddock on my arm. He got static, pussy nigga run your charm. Ghostface killers, Wu-Tang, 21 News Gang. Drug dealers in the Mustang, at the top of the food chain. Trapping the cocaine, no game. Shooter with no name. You can play toe games, the whole game. Kicking your dough, man. Yeah. Put on the paddock, Poppy said it, I'm an addict. Break the mattress with a batty on the attic. Diamond glasses, need some glasses for the flashes, yeah. Michael Jackson with the fashion, bitch, I'm dabbing, yeah. I do this shit on purpose, got the bitches slurping. Whoa. Oh, your pockets on hurting, nigga, you could be my servant. Go to the line, young nigga, don't listen, I purchase. After I cut up a thought, I give her some money for services. Wherever I go, the whole gang gon' go. Yeah, you cannot tame the hoe because she won't fame for sure. You think that you rich cause you got 100 or more. I got an overload, look like I just sold my soul. I pour up before a liter, I got the stripes, Adidas. I got a farm, mama, see it, and I've been known to beat it. Niggas ain't going defeated, we get the guns immediate. No running the group is an idiot, these niggas is broken, it's pitiful. Automatic, in the trunk. Shoot the maggots with the pump. Thought it natty, love the paddock on my arm. He got static, pussy nigga run your charm. Ghostface killers, Wu-Tang, 21 News Gang. Drug dealers in the Mustang, at the top of the food chain. Trapping the cocaine, no game. Shooter with no name. You can play toe games, the whole game. Kicking your dough, man.
Yeah, Kim Jong, yeah, big bomb. Wonder bread, man, make your bitch lick crumb. Yeah, out of my pocket, flooded, got my wrist numb. Link, grab the hit stick, nigga tryna blitz some. Dope boy, I sell coke, boy. You broke ass rappers food, it's a pole, boy. Everybody the same, all these niggas sound alike. Yeah, Fox 5 gang, turn you to a candlelight. Bitch boy on my mobster, shrimp in my pasta. Jamaican dun da da, hang round the shotters. Mad Max nigga, yeah, I hang with the killer. Planet of the H, yeah, I hang around gorillas. I got AK, SK, HK, broad day. You a fuck boy, we ain't with the horseplay, bitch. Trump ass nigga, did you do your chores today? Do you wanna take a ride with the coroner today?
Automatic, in the trunk. Shoot the maggots with the pump. Thought it natty, love the paddock on my arm. He got static, pussy nigga run your charm. Ghostface killers, Wu-Tang, 21 News Gang. Drug dealers in the Mustang, at the top of the food chain. Trapping the cocaine, no game. Shooter with no name. You can play toe games, the whole game. Kicking your dough, man. Drop from the heaven straight in the wild. Trunk in the front, top got a slide.
Today, we're going to talk about the college football 25 game and some college football futures. Stick around. We'll be back here in a minute.
I mean, Connor McDavid, he might be the biggest fraud in all the lands. McDavid stinks. He's a softie. What a joke. Oh, man, it's tough to watch.
Gunnar Henderson is not invited to the White Boy Center.
If I was at that game and Zach Campbell came running down, breathing down my neck to catch a home run ball, he would catch an elbow to the nostrils. That's a fact.
He's looking like he's a fucking outfielder in the World Series, man. He's standing in the stands in right field.
He put his glove up there. It wasn't even anywhere close. It looks like Victor Robles playing defense for the Mariners. This guy wasn't even in the same state as catching that home run ball. Check the guy's vision. Somebody put some glasses on Pa. He can't see a thing.
100 fly ball, 100 fly ball, 100 fly ball.
No way.
Oh, yeah!
No fucking way, Trent.
Out of 10 of them, see what I'm saying? I'ma make them see what I'm saying. First they won't smoke, now they just playing. Nigga real hoes, you know what I'm saying?
On chat, happy BTL Wednesday, episode 511 piece. As always, hold the fry, joined by your two hosts, Krabs and Jovan, presented by Bookit Sports. If you're not tracking your bets on Pickets, do you live under a rock? Do you hate fun? Do you hate great apps? Do you hate tracking your bets? Do you hate seeing how much money you win or lose? What's wrong with you? Go download Pickets, use promo code Jovan, and start tracking your bets today. Change your life. All right, grow up a little bit today. Start using Pickett. Jovan, hope you're doing well.
Doing great.
You got a big championship matchup coming up later today.
We do.
People
forget.
are
talking. The Herd might be back into a big game tonight.
Fuck the Herd. I'm just going to say it. I'll speak for Trent. I'll speak for everyone else.
Trent will tell everybody too. Don't worry.
I think we're a little bit tired of the Herd.
I don't know if anybody's rooting for me tonight. I might have to go in solo.
I'm rooting for you, Javon.
There you go.
I heard Trent say in the car on the way to the All-Star game yesterday, I think he said, this is the first time I'll ever root for Texas.
Yeah. It's crazy that I'm the one who got him there. It's unbelievable.
I mean, Jovan, you picked the Thundering Herds. You're destroying everybody in your sights. You beat me in the second round, even though I didn't even belong to be there. You're good at the game. I'm going to say it. You're solid at the game already. Only a couple days out. It's going to be you versus Lauren tonight. What time? Do we know?
6:30 Eastern.
6:30 Eastern.
Do we want to leak the line live on BTL?
I don't know if they deserve it. I don't know if they're hype enough today for that. I don't know if they're hype enough. Good. So I'm not seeing enough engagement. I'm not seeing enough crazy people in chats.
Fat Girls does have a W comment. Can we talk about Krabs' 2 safeties yesterday?
Yeah, that's actually
insane.
insane.
You don't see that often. You don't see one safety.
That clip ain't out yet.
Look, one safety, you make a mistake, sure, you learn from that, you don't make it happen again. 2 safeties, that's inexcusable. That's inexcusable. Sorry for anybody's eyeballs who had to watch that game against Marshall with the Hokies last night, or Penn State versus the Hokies. That was an atrocious showing. But Jovan, excited to watch you and Lauren go at it later tonight on College Football 25. 2 of the best players by far. This is going to be must watch. Points.
It's a big game.
2 words, points. Give me the over.
We checking the lines?
We're not going to shout out the line yet. If they want to see the line, they can check it on the graphic. Bookit HQ later
not posted
today.
Yet? Yeah, later.
Later today. They can check it out. So we got that. And early thoughts, Jovan, on the college football game. I personally like it. I think it's insanely hard, and there's mistakes. There's people dropping picks. There's people dropping passes because it's college football, right? That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. The tournament's actually the only time I've been able to play the game, and we had like a couple games the night it came out after the Derby. So I haven't gotten to play it too much myself yet. I haven't gotten able to start the Dynasty yet, but from first impressions, it's pretty fun. It's definitely not just a Madden reskin, which makes it a lot more interesting.
Anybody in chat, check out any of the other game modes like Dynasty yet, or the Create a Player, any of that stuff. Let me know if you guys have enjoyed it. We have not done any of that stuff yet. We've been locked in, going to the All-Star game, going to the Home Run Derby, playing the tournaments, right? We haven't had the time to do it. So let me know if you guys like it. I'm very curious to see if you do. And Jovan, thoughts on the All-Star game and Home Run Derby last 2 days?
I mean, from the Derby, we can start there. Teoscar was absolutely electric. I love that, but that was still, even with me winning a long shot or taking the long shot winner in the Derby. I mean, that Derby sucked. I don't know whether it was the baseballs or just the fact that it was in Texas and it wasn't the greatest hitting environment, but we still had it at Seattle last year and there were nukes. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just the players, the balls, whatever it may be. I mean, it was not great. It seemed like every single guy came up there and you're thinking, oh, it can't be worse than whoever went before. And somehow it was, because those guys were not locked in. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. And then last night, I mean, the All-Star game, these guys are crushing baseballs and they're dying on the warning track every single time. Besides 2 guys, but
Gunnar Henderson had a whole round to hit a ball as far and as hard as Jaron Duran did in an actual game.
That's crazy. Jovan had that one back pocket ready to roll for today. W Goots.
It wasn't even like a picked out gunner stray just for that reason. And he was just the only lefty that was roping or expected to be roping.
I was telling Jovan last night, I was like, the fact that the only Oriole to do something was Tony makes my life so much harder.
It's beautiful.
Sure.
It's the only Oriole we show up to the game for.
I mean, it doesn't make sense, man.
It's beautiful.
Tony base hit was minus 1,000.
Literally
BTL boys are
free as air.
It was.
Yeah.
Thoughts on your first All-Star game?
It was great. I had a great time. It was
Cool.
very cool to see all those stars. I mean, the lineup top to bottom, it's just guys I watch on a daily basis. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's sick to see them all go against each other. I wish they tried a little bit more to actually win the game and not just go up there and hit nukes. We did get a couple nukes. Shohei, Duran, sure.
Yeah, I think that's why. I mean, that's why we got the over. W calling the over, by the way.
Sure, people forget.
There are a lot of younger players, younger pitchers too. So, like, I mean, hurt to say it or see it, but Hunter Green, first time in there, he's tossing turkeys. He might have given up 4 home runs if this were in any other ballpark. But younger pitchers weren't as dialed in. The younger hitters were looking for, more base hits. They had some nukes too, of course. But I don't know. I feel like that was the most entertaining All-Star game we've had in a while. And I think it's not for any lack of reason.
Yeah, I mean, Class A's close was cool too. He was fired up.
Yeah.
He wanted to close that game. That was pretty cool.
The energy. Yeah. Besides me missing the last 3 innings of the game because I was trying to get my CJ Abrams jersey, besides that, it was great.
Yeah.
Great home run derby, great events. I guess I'll start back from the beginning of yesterday. I'm walking into the stadium with the squads, wearing my Aaron Judge jersey, right? Doing the punishment that I owed you guys for the fucking stupid wager wheel that we're going to banish, and I'm going to make sure it's extinct at some point soon before football. Mark my words. We're walking up to the stadium, Jovan. Who do we see? walking into the stadium yesterday. You remember? I'll give you a hint. An attitude.
Oh, the Finnegan
that's
family.
right. The Finnegan
We walk
family.
in right next to the entire Kyle Finnegan family. Bless his heart. Didn't get the pitch last night, but got the All-Star game selection late. Flew in. He was at Hershey Park about to hop on a ride with his kids and family. He got the call, flew back home, and then flew to the All-Star game. Didn't even get the pitch. That's bogus. But we see the entire Finnegan family, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I want to go up and say congrats. I want to go up and say, I'm so happy for Kyle. He deserves it. Maybe even get a picture. That'd be sick. It's Kyle Finnegan's whole family there. That's awesome. I'm sure they love if I went up and gassed him up too. Then I look down and I see I'm wearing pinstripes. I'm wearing the Aaron Judge jersey. Okay. I can't go up and talk to them. They're going to think I'm the weirdest guy of all time. If I had a Nats jersey on, they would welcome me with open arms, say, oh my gosh, the only guy here in a Nats jersey besides us. Sure. What do you want to know? I'll tell you how many pitches Finnegan's going to throw and you can get rich, make $1 million. That's not how it went because I was wearing the stupid Aaron Judge jersey. It is what it is. And then we get in there. Great time yesterday. Great seats, great vibes. I had a pretzel. Unbelievable. I had some nachos. Those played as well. I get the text that my Abrams jersey is ready after I ordered it right in the beginning of the game because I know how it goes. It takes an hour or so. Was hoping I'd be able to go grab the jersey, make it back to the seats by CJ's first at bat. Everything was looking great. We were on schedule, looking good. I wanted to take the Judge jersey off, put the Abrams jersey on, and then we sweat out Abrams at bat. Thankfully, it didn't really matter. He struck out on 3 pitches, but that was the game plan. The game plan went to shit. I go up there to grab the jersey, guys, and he shows it to me. He's smiling. He's probably expecting me to be so happy seeing this $250, $300 customized All-Star game jersey. He's like, look, you finally got it. He holds it up like this. It says CJ Abrams on the back. And I'm standing there. My jaw completely drops. I'm looking at the guy saying, what did you just do? Did you just print this thing on here? It's fresh off the presses. I can feel the heat from the jersey right now. You just did this. You just ruined this thing.
Full name.
And I look at the guy. I go, you ever watch a baseball game? Look at the jerseys out there. They have their first names on there. Why did you think CJ Abrams' full name on the back was a good idea? I was letting this guy have it. Wasn't even probably his fault. Don't care. Doesn't matter. So I'm standing there for the last 3 innings of the game. I'm thinking, wow, I wish I just had a refund at this point. I wish I could just be sitting with the squad at the seats. I'm standing there in a back alley of the stadium. I can't even see the fucking game for the last 3 innings. And I'm thinking, why can't I just get a refund? Whatever. I'm bitching at the guy over text. You guys saw the tweet. I said, I want both jerseys. I'm trying to reason with the guy, bargain with the guy for my time, right? I missed the whole end of the game. I want the bad jersey too. That's hilarious. I want a picture for you guys so I could show you. Didn't get a picture for the 3 seconds I saw the jersey before the guy sprinted in the back to try to go fix it, right? The guy, while I'm on my phone, bitching, waiting in like the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th, he runs over to me, hands me the jersey, and dips behind the curtain before I can even look up and say anything. I was like, hey, wait. He's already behind the curtain. He's back. He snuck right back in there. Did not give me the other jersey. I saw he read my text. I knew that fucker saw it. I saw that it read. Okay. He saw the text. He knew I wanted both jerseys, and he thought I was probably, trying to fuck with them and maybe try to get 2 for 1 special. I don't know. I just wanted to be paid for my time. Wasting away in the corner of the stadium where I can't even see the last couple innings. Long story short, not really short, but didn't get the second jersey. Have the first one. It's a double XL. We need to put that thing in the fucking dryer. They didn't have any more XLs left. It is what it is. But I do have the Abrams jersey. And I feel like at this point, I probably should just go grab it. Right?
That's
probably I should be.
You got to.
Go get that puppy.
I will say, too, because Krabs said that there was a lot of bitching coming from, I don't know, the people that were in line for, like, the custom jersey. If you haven't been to the Rangers Stadium, they have this absolutely massive, I don't know, what is it, Goots? Like a hanger? Like a bunch of hangers?
So it's like literally a conveyor belt of jerseys just all up in the sky.
Yeah, just a massive customization, like center.
There it is.
One of my Rangers friends was at the game and got a Seager jersey, and they said it was so painfully off center. So like there was definitely a shit operation going on there.
That fits great.
It doesn't even look that big, though.
It doesn't.
It's a good thing.
Maybe the jersey just run big.
Yeah, there it is.
The fixed one.
It's a good thing.
Wow.
All right. Maybe it was a blessing in disguise then.
Might have been.
Never buy a jersey from that stupid rack or that stupid place. Please.
That's where you got the Dade jersey.
Don't do it.
Oh, yeah, the
Dane Dunning jersey, yes. I did get that from there, and that was a little bit more smooth, right?
Yeah.
Still had to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
But that operation they got down there at the Rangers Stadium, Globe Life Fields, for picking up your $300 customized jersey during the game, they don't give it to you right away. They don't give you a time frame. They text you. You got to go walk all the way over there in the back alley. You can't even see where the fuck the game's going on because it's not where the jerseys are hanging. It's a separate section where you go pick it up in the corner of the stadium. Ridiculous operation they got running over there. The entire crowd, the line of 20 people waiting for their jerseys, everybody was bitching. It was a moo shit show.
Bitch.
Terrible. But the jersey's fresh.
Yeah, the jersey was looking fire.
Yeah, it's cool. Good thing he struck out on 3 pitches, right?
Yeah, good thing. Good thing you missed that. Those jerseys are they're lighting up on me.
The All-Star game patch is pretty cool.
Kind of
the
like
National League.
I like the National League.
The AL I still can't get as warm to.
Yeah,
I can work with this.
they look better in person than in pictures.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This one plays.
and that's fully stitched.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fire.
This will be cool to have, in Nats games.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Not many people will have that.
All right. Let's move. Let's groove. I know you guys wanted to talk about some football here. Anything else to bitch about? Anything else you wanted to gas up for the last 2 days? I know we haven't had BTLs. We have the championship tonight, 6:30 Central, I believe. 7.
You want to leak the line or not?
We're not leaking lines.
Okay.
Well, we got the stream tonight, championship, Jovan versus Lauren. If you're not there to watch that stream, what are you doing? Grow up, figure it out. And we've got BTL tomorrow. We'll talk some NFL stuff as well before we ship it back up to the DMV. Let's talk about some college football, though.
We can recap the sharp report from Monday as well.
You want to do recaps real quick?
We can do that.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you do the W recaps real quick?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't come through with winners. Baylor, terrible square. You shot like Brawny. And then Ozuna. I don't think anybody went over their exit velo in that game.
No. Ozuna had 110.
Yeah, he had 110. I don't think anybody went over their exit velo. Even the regular book lines, too, which is why Trent was in piss with the prize picks lines that were also higher. So it didn't even come relatively close.
Sure.
But, I will say I feel like Teoscar makes up for all. So shit play, shit square. But, I get a little pass.
I did have $50. I had 0.3 units, whatever that is. 0.2 units on Bobby Witt to win the home run derby, but I was happy to see you got the win there and somebody from the squad cashed their derby bet. And it was a great call from Teoscar, man. Could not get the 21.5 in the first round, but still went on to win the fucking home run derby. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. A rare Jovan 0-2. You don't see those very often. You get a pass. I mean, we didn't have any games to work with. Come on.
Yeah, happens.
No games. What's the SeatGeek code? Buying Rangers Orioles tickets right now. W. Davey Martinez burner. SeatGeek code Bookit. All right. You go to the bottom right button. You type it in the promo code section. It takes like 3 seconds. Could not be easier. All right. Book it. I had Teoscar under 110.5. He went 111. I bet. Yeah, I had some pretty bad hooks. If you guys want to hear about these real quick, and then we'll dive into some plays for today. But I got some pretty bad hooks the last 2 nights, man. I had a 2-piece nuke from the Derby that I believe I told you guys about, or at least tweeted about it. That I think got hooked. Let's see right here.
You posted a 3-piece. Or you're talking about from the Derby?
Yeah, but it didn't matter because Bobby Witt went way over too. But I had Teoscar in the last round, less than 13.5 home runs. He had 14. L hook there.
Yeah.
And then home run derby, I had a 6-piece last night, guys. Aaron Judge, less than a half hit run RBIs. He didn't do squat. If he was good at baseball, he'd actually do the home run derby and wouldn't be scared to do it. He went less than. Jerickson Profar, more than half a hit run RBI. It's Jerickson Profar year. If you're not hip, you don't know ball. He went more than. Stephen Kwan, more than half a hit run RBI. That hits. I think he got walked and then scored. W. Kwan. Ketel Marte, more than a half hit run RBI. That guy had 2 because it's Ketel Marte year as well. This is just a knowing baseball lineup right here. And then Tyler Anderson, I had his more than 16 pitches. He didn't even get to pitch, which is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. It's probably the last time he'll be an All-Star. They should have let him pitch. It got hooked on the last leg. Shota Imanaga, more than 15.5 pitches thrown. He ended with 15. Hook. That was a, let's see how much that cost me. That was a $2,500 hook, $2,300 hook.
Yeah, it's meat.
That's disgusting.
That's meat.
And I didn't even notice that until this morning, to be completely frank with you. I didn't tweet that lineup. That was something I threw together last second at the game last night, and it almost fucking hit. God. But how free was that Aaron Judge fade, guys? Yes.
We love that. In-person Judge fade.
Was fully expecting him to hit a nuke with me there in the jersey, and we could get the video. But you know what? We take that, Ray W. We take that. Yep, baseballs were not juiced for this All-Star break, guys. I don't know why they did that or what the game plan was, but no juice baseballs for the Derby or the game. You could tell Although Jaren Duran, he might have gotten one of the leftover ones.
I mean, dude, there were some shots in that game. Like, I mean, especially, again, hate to say it, but Hunter Green, if that was in any other park with any other baseballs, probably gives up 3-4 home runs in that inning. Every single out was like 400 and smashed off the bat.
And it would look like a nuke off the bat, and then they would all die at the warning track.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Until Duran finally got one over. The crowd was about to
Duran
go crazy if that Seager one went over too.
Duran him.
Yeah.
Can we get a look at Manny? I don't want to go grab him right now, Wild. I'm sorry, bro.
Otani's was an absolute moon.
Otani was a Nukenheimer, dude. Yep. That ball was assaulted.
So I missed the Shohei one because I was grabbing a bear. I missed the last 3 innings because I was getting this jersey. Interesting day yesterday.
Did you see one home run?
At least. I saw the Duran one.
You saw Duran one? Okay.
Which was the coolest one.
Yeah.
You won MVP?
Dude, I was literally a guy off on the game-winning home run because guess who was on base and hit right before Jaren Duran? Fucking Tony Taters.
Bruh.
Easy.
If you guys aren't hip, Jovan had a good little reminder yesterday when we were looking at these odds for the All-Star game. If you're not hip to this, you got to take a little sprinkle, 10, 15 bucks, 20 bucks, maybe 25 if you're feeling good. A little sprinkle, nothing crazy, on some guys who don't start the All-Star game, but go in late, who you think could go in there and do something crazy. Like Ellie, I know was talked about because we think he might get a couple stolen bases. He didn't, whatever.
Dude.
But taking guys who go in late, I know, we don't need to talk about Ellie. The guys who start and go in the second half of the game are typically the guys who I feel like win the MVP, Jovan, because they're the ones having the game-winning home run or the home run that gives them the lead at the end of the game. And those guys are probably the ones who are going to end up winning the MVP, not the guys in the first half of that list that have the way shorter odds, the big-name guys like Aaron Judge, Juan Soto. Those guys are not going to get that meaningful, impactful hit. It's way smarter and sharper to take guys at the bottom half who aren't even starting, and the payouts are insanely better. Like, I can't even imagine what Jaren Duran, what his odds were at. They had to be at least plus 1,500.
Plus 5,000.
Yeah.
Plus 5,000. You kidding me?
Yeah.
So next year, pick a couple guys, put 20 bucks on each of them. Guys who don't start to win the AL MVP or NL MVP or the All-Star Game MVP, and count your guap after one of those guys hits. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's that simple. All right, let's lock in. I want to talk about college football here, and we've been bojangling for about 20 minutes. Jovan, we can kind of talk about whatever we want here. We can go over conferences. We can go over teams we've already prepped or think that we like or don't like and hate. I don't know what the best way to do it is. Maybe we start with the best conference in football, the ACC, and we go from there.
Are you deadlocked on any teams specifically yet?
What, that I want to take futures on? Teams that I just believe in general?
Either. Because I feel like I'm pretty deadlocked on 1 to 2.
Okay. Well, why don't you go over those? I'll try to find some wagons here while you're talking. We'll see if we can link up and put something together.
So, I mean, the one that I actually just placed, partially because I've already seen the line move 30 cents in front of my face, and I don't want it to jump a win before I get in.
Good.
Is Rice, which I've talked about in this house, I think plenty. But
Condoleezza Rice, huh?
Yeah, I don't know if Stream and people watching know that just yet, but that's my Marshall in the sense that it's a big team. Real OGs, remember that from 2 years ago, or not a big team. But it's got Marshall elements and Cal elements too, because I am following an offense. But the thing with Rice, and I even see it up to minus 150 now, which is fat. So it's probably going to jump soon because it was at minus 115 when I was first looking at it. I took it at minus 145 a little bit ago. Now it keeps jumping. So Rice, that's my team that probably, assuming that total stays there, even with the juice, might make the big 3 when it's all said and done, which is crazy. That Rice might be in there, but I like them to get at least 7 wins. I still like their ceiling past that. I won't go too into depth of the essay, but they're an air raid offense. They have a lot of pieces coming back. The whole defense is returning. I guess you can say that's the backbone of it all, but their offense is what they rely on. And now they get EJ Warner, who I think you're a little familiar with, coming from Temple after he suffered top 5 most drops in the league. His offensive line is terrible, so he's got a lot that he's working with outside of just his last name. So I think him coming into this air raid offense with guys who have been there before, coaching staff-wise too. Their OC, funny enough, came from the start of the Cal years, right before they had Jared Goff, and they kind of laid the foundation for the offense there. Washington too, right before they had the Browning years, he kind of started the foundation there. So good backing in the offense. They got a lot of pieces coming back, and their schedule is meat. I don't know if you can put that up, the Goots, but They're in the AAC. Last year they went 6-7, and then they had 2 games out of conference against like power teams. One of those was Houston, who they actually beat, and then the other one was Texas, who they very obviously got dog walked by. They subbed because they still play Houston because that's a Houston rivalry. You know who they subbed out Texas for? I guess it could be one of 2 teams, but Sam Houston State. That's who they subbed them out for.
Bearcats.
Yeah. So
Sure.
Their out of conference schedule is
That's a win.
Yeah, that's a win. And then they also play Texas Southern right after that. So those are their first 2 weeks to get a little tune up before they do go to Houston and try and get 2 in a row there. But
here's a quick little side nug before you finish this puppy
ahead.
off. Imagine being an athletic director of a college, right? You made it. You probably started working out as an assistant AD or, maybe even something even lower in one of these schools. You've been there forever. You move up in the ranks. You're the athletic director. You're making the calls for a program. You're sitting around a round table with all the smartest people, alumni, boosters, people who are around that school, Sam Houston State, who want to make it better, want to make it a good place, build up the teams. A lot of their programs have gone from D2 to D3 or D1 recently, making that pivot. It's a massive time for that school. Imagine sitting around that table, Jovan, being the athletic director and saying, you know what? Let's bring Brad Cornelson in after what he did at Virginia Tech. There's a reason why Justin Fuente, who was a Power 5 coach, who was absolutely getting slurped for his QB guru-ness, I guess is the way to call it, getting slurped like no other. There he is, W. Brad, ugly-ass face, bald-ass head. Imagine hiring that guy to call your plays after what he did at Virginia Tech. There's a reason why Justin Fuente does not have a job after 3 years of being a Power 5 head coach and one of the most historic college football teams in the entire sport. That guy was slurped like he was the best young offensive mind in the entire sport when he came over from Memphis. And he shit the bed. And you're telling me Sam Houston State, the Bearcats, as they go from D2 to D1, are saying Brad Cornelson's calling the plays? The OC from VT? What a joke.
it's unbelievable, Krabs.
Job should be taken.
Unbelievable.
Salary should be cut.
Look, you can ride rice with me, and then we're rooting against them hard week 1 of the season.
Brad Cornelson in our bowl game versus Maryland, the Pinstripe Bowl. I was there in person. His last game as the head coach. Everybody knew they were going to get fired. Everyone made fun of Brad Cornelson for his atrocious play calling. This guy would call jet sweeps every drive, and they would never work. They would never work. What does this guy call out the first play of the game in that bowl game, in his last ever game calling plays for Virginia Tech? You want to take a guess what play he called?
It's gotta be the jet
He called a
sweep.
fucking jet sweep on play 1. They lost 3 yards, and everybody booed the shit out of that bald fuck. And then he goes and gets hired.
It's unreal.
I don't get it, man. Who made that call? Who signed off on that?
It's unbelievable.
Oh, impromptu steam crabs. Fuck
love
that
that.
guy.
We love
And
that.
fuck Sam Houston State.
Yeah.
I hope you're Rice guys. Take care of him.
I hope so
I'm
too.
sure they will.
And I mean, look, it's to look at the schedule really quick. They do start off with Sam Houston, then they go Texas Southern. I would love to say those are 2 gimmies. Like looking at the AAC, they're very capable of beating Houston. They showed that years ago. So I guess not AAC yet, but out of conference. I wanted to pick a team with a really good offense that I think you could get some value on before the season, because when we look at like who's run the AAC in the past couple of years, you have a Tulane team who is under a new regime. I still think, the additions that they made coaching staff wise and outside of that, it's not like they're going to take a huge step down, but Tulane has a new regime. UTSA is entering the post Frank Harris era. So for those 2 teams who have been really, really good in the AAC, I don't think they're going to have that same level of success this year. So those are 2 big teams they're going to face. Go back to the schedule real quick, Goots. And then like outside of that, their schedule is relatively soft. They get Army and Navy, obviously, who are dog meat. Charlotte's dog meat. UConn's dog meat. Going on the road to Memphis is tough. And then those UAB, USF games, I think, are pretty much a toss-up. So I think their ceiling's pretty high looking at what the rest of the AAC is this season. And I don't even think it would take an upset of any of those bigger teams. So that's why I like them so much. And that's where the Marshall comparisons come in, because that was when I took Marshall 2 years ago. I think that was when the CUSA was really, really weird. And that was the new Louisiana team after, why am I blanking on his name?
ULL?
Florida. Yeah.
Raging Cajuns?
Yeah. That was like the year after when they were starting their new regime, kind of like in Tulane. And a lot of those teams were kind of weird and in the mix. So like, it kind of feels like that this year with the AAC. So Rice with a relatively soft schedule, that's my team.
You know, they won't have Luke
Playmaker.
McCaffrey anymore, former or future Commanders legends.
Yeah.
Right. They won't have
Future.
him anymore. But, you know, that game against UTSA, that could be the difference right there at home, October 12th.
Yeah.
That could be the one that changes everything.
It could be.
That
And I mean,
matchup with the Roadrunners.
I'm looking at the schedule. And I don't know where you see 6 losses. Even if you say going on to Memphis, you can hand them a loss. Houston, you can hand them a loss. Say they're not going to win 2 in a row. Outside of that, I think they beat one of UTSA and Tulane. But even if you say they don't, that's 4. It's 4 losses on the schedule and very winnable games. Other than that, it's like in 8 wins. I know a lot of people were commenting too. They have 7 even for plus trick on the book. I think that's their floor.
Yeah, I mean, even if they lose to Tulane and UTSA back to back, they still can get to that number.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like even I think worst case scenario is 0-2 in those 2 games, but I
Yeah.
don't think that's gonna be how it plays out, especially if they get UTSA at home.
They have to beat Memphis, UTSA, or Tulane.
Yeah, I think you have to get one of those
games.
But also like if they lose all 3 of those games and Houston, it'll come down to whether they beat UAB or USF,
Which you're willing to bet on.
which I am 100% willing to bet on.
Yeah.
So like I think they're going to be sneaky good. And like they're like half Marshall, half UTS or half Cal in the sense that like I really like their offense. Their defense is not nearly as good. It was kind of a problem last year, but it was a problem because they scored too quick. That's what like I was listening to what their coaching staff was saying at like the media days and stuff. And they're like, yeah, our defense, it's returning every single guy. It's the deepest defense we've ever had. Last year they were bad, but they kept everything in front of them. It's just they're on the field for too long. It didn't have a break. So their offense was that good.
Oh, that's a smart move by the coach saying our offense scored too much.
Yeah, that's
It
what he
actually
was.
hurt our defense and hurt
Yeah.
our team.
And he was
Okay.
like, what are we doing?
Haven't heard
this
that
is-
one before.
Yeah, this one's like they're super deep though, which is what I like. So like a defense
right.
like that with everybody coming back, I want to buy in.
Solid QB, got their whole team coming back. Mooshit Conference, you know, former Commanders legends
Former,
leaving the team. They
In
probably could
future.
use him this year, but
yeah,
gosh, man, that schedule is cupcake. You got a couple matchups against the military schools, which, you know, you can go ahead and fade them. It's pretty fucked up if you ask me. But,
yeah.
you know, Navy's team has seen better days. I'll give you that.
It's also like their
We've seen better
defense.
days.
Their defense is sneaky. Like they're the best pass defense coming back in all of that conference.
Wow.
Which is crazy because SMU. This is how you know what the pass defenses are in the AAC. SMU is the best pass defense last year, and it
I
wasn't
mean, yeah,
just
just
because
because they're SMU.
yeah, just because they're SMU. So like the second best was Rice, even though they gave up a lot of points. They keep everything in front of them. So
Sure.
like they stop chunk plays, and like with no Frank Harris and a new Tulane regime, those are really the only 2 teams they face, other than Memphis, I guess you can say, who has Hennigan coming back. That'll be tough. They're going to lose that game, but
Sure.
UTSA and Tulane were the 2 teams you'd really be scared of to do that, and they ain't going to be the UTSA and Tulane from the last couple of years.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Somebody in chat said they're playing with Rice for their dynasty in college football 25, and they have a guy with 99 speed.
Yeah, that
Dude.
might be a cheat code.
I might have to find that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Maybe I should have picked Rice in the.
You probably
tournament.
should have.
Lieutenant Gooch, you know his name?
You could have taken a fake team with, you know, 22 Ravs out there on the field, and you'd still be a cakewalk to the championship against Lauren in this contest.
I mean,
Sorry, Rav.
that'd be a
But it's
moose
true, you
shit
could've-
line, though. You think Rav's blocking
There could
Jadavian
have been
Clowney
22
coming off the end?
Ravs out there and one Goots with a headset calling the plays,
Mhm.
and you still would have had the easiest route to the championship of all time.
Drayden.
Brad Cornelison jet sweep. Dude, I
Have a
literally
good long
bet.
snapper, probably. I feel like Rav could be a long snapper. All
Unbelievable.
right.
Ish.
All right. Well, that's enough Rice talk for one day.
Enough Rice talk.
I want to talk about a team.
Let's talk about a team. Krabs.
Give it to me.
Goots, do me a favor. Can you look up the schedule for the University of Colorado for me? Do you mind?
Yes, I will do such thing.
We've got some work to do. okay.
Work to do.
Guys, if you don't know, then you're not tapped in. But last year, I got absolutely skull fucked by Colorado, and Deion Sanders himself might as well have been. Look, they ended with 4 wins exactly. They acted like they won 20. They acted like they had more wins than even games. They're still acting like that. They're still, you know, they got their best player on live streams instead of at practice when we should be the ones live streaming. They're probably the ones that should be playing, talking about their O-line being absolute quail meat, you know, in front of thousands of people. We got their QB, tweeting about it saying, oh, he was talking about our line last year. Buddy, that doesn't mean it's okay. You don't just roast your fucking team from last year. What kind of leader, what kind of person does that make you look like? Makes you look like a piece of shit. I'll tell you. It does. All right. And I got a bunch of pieces of shits out there at Colorado. And this team is not winning 6 games. Okay. They might win 6 games in 2 years, but they're not winning 6 games this year. Let's go through their schedule. Okay. They won 4 last year by the skin of their teeth, by the way, because when they got into conference play, they folded like a Dollar Tree lawn chair. But they got lucky. Shout out to TCU Horned Frogs. God damn it. I can't believe it was them. But because they lost to Colorado, now I had the worst future of the entire college football season. That could have been the greatest sweat of all time, potentially, if TCU does their job. They don't. Colorado wins 4 games. They end the season in horrid fashion. Players are quitting the team. In the offseason, people are coming out saying the coach is a dick. He only cares about, his son. He only cares about the people who are hyping up his son. Everyone else is just an afterthought. Why would you want to be there? If the only thing people care about is, Shedeur Sanders. I don't blame them. I don't. Let's look at their schedule and talk actual football here and not just, their actual program and how they think they're the greatest team of all time after getting 4 wins last season. Let's look at the schedule, okay? Because there's not a game on here that I think is a guaranteed win.
No.
Which is the craziest part. They have a hard-ass schedule this season.
They do.
All right, let's talk about it. Their total this year is at 5.5. The over is getting steamed because everybody's taking it, thinking Colorado is going to actually be good this year, and they're not thinking of how fucking hard and how difficult and how long it's going to take to rebuild a college football program that was that bad.
And before you go on, just for everybody to note, last year the same thing happened where their win total got up to 6.5 even at some points or higher, and then what do you know, it closed at 3.5 once we were in late August, early September. So I would not be worried about any steam because I can guarantee you it's going to start to come back the other way.
Sure.
In a month.
I'm with you. So we should lock it in now.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Let's get through their schedule, guys. 5.5 is the line for this season after winning 4 games barely last year. They don't have a single easy cupcake game on this schedule. Let's just count their wins because that's all that matters for this future. Okay. Week 1, North Dakota State. They're not supposed to be elite this season, but they're still one of the best D2, I believe, or maybe FCS. D3, one of the best FCS, whatever they're in, teams in football. They're going to be solids. Yes, Colorado's going to win that game. I'll give them a win there. But that game could be a little bit weirder than people think because the way Colorado yaps like they're the fucking, undefeated defending national champions, they're going to have a target on their back. Everybody wants to beat them. Look at how last season went, especially when they got into conference play. All the other coaches were calling each other, figuring out how to beat Coach Prime. That happens. Look it up. North Dakota State's a win, but it's going to be closer than people think. Then they got to go to Nebraska, which, by the way, was the weirdest game of all time last year, where it was not who won, but which team lost, to be completely honest with you. That was a moose shit ending. I forget if it was an overtime or not, but I know there was plenty of turnovers at the end. Nebraska had ample opportunities to win that game on the road last year. They didn't. Colorado pulled out a crazy win barely at the end of that one. Now Colorado this season has to go back to Nebraska. You don't think Nebraska remembers that loss? You don't think Nebraska wants to get some revenge at home against Coach Prime, Shedeur Sanders, and their moose shit O-line? I think they do. I'm not saying Nebraska is going to be good, but I'll tell you what, they're going to be up and ready for that game. And at home, the Huskers are about to show up. They're about to be there. All right. So looking at these next couple games here, that Nebraska matchup, they got to play Colorado State, who wants to beat the fuck out of them after that close game last year. They almost pulled off the upset once again. Last chance to beat Shedeur Sanders before he gets drafted. You don't think Colorado State's getting up for that game? Come on. That's a rivalry game. One of the most slept on rivalries in all of college sports, even before Coach Prime took over that team at Colorado. It's a slept-on rivalry. That's going to be a tough game to go into and win on the road. And then they got to play Baylor. Are you kidding me?
Before you get into the Big 12 too, because there's a lot of comments in chat talking about how not tough a lot of these teams are. I don't know if people actually have watched the Big 12 or know these teams at all. Because I'm looking at the start of their Big 12 play. First of all, I'll give you the nugget about Baylor. I've talked about this. You know who's going to be the OC for Baylor? The guy that I slurped the entire last year, and the reason that I took Cal over wins because he is there now. He's one of the best quarterback whisperers in all of college football, one of the best orchestrators of an offense, and now Dave Aranda is also back in his element calling defensive plays. So Baylor is going to be better than a lot of people think, as much as it pains me to say that. UCF might win the Big 12. They are easily the team that I'm the most scared of as a Big 12 fan of the other team. Kansas State is in that same conversation. Very, very good. Arizona probably has the most talent out of anybody. Cincinnati is going to be good this season as well. And then Utah is in the back end too. Fuck Texas Tech. But that is a tough stretch of games. So continue, because I don't know if people are familiar with these teams yet.
Yeah, and they're saying, sure, Colorado beat Nebraska by 22. Did you guys watch that game last year? That game was close into the fourth quarter. Jeff Sims had like 3 fumbles at the end where they were driving and could have had, potential opportunities to get that game close. He was terrible.
Jeff Sims is bad at ball.
He was terrible. They had so many ample opportunities to win that game, and they blew it late. Scroll up one more line, dudes. I want to look at the beginning here. They get a win. I'll give them that against North Dakota State. It's not going to be easy, but they do get that win. Between the games at Nebraska, at Colorado State, and at Baylor, I think they win one of those games. And I think that's being generous, to be completely honest with you. I think they win one of those games. That's 2 wins. Then they got to go at UCF. They got to welcome in a ranked Kansas State team. And they got to play Arizona on the road.
That's a guaranteed 0-3. And none of those games are close. Especially in the bounce house, they're getting beat by 40.
Oh my God.
I'm actually not kidding.
They're not going to sniff a win in those games. Are you kidding me? I'll loop in Cincinnati. I'll give them 1 win out of those 4.
I really like Cincinnati too, so I don't think that's a win.
But out of those 4 games, and I want to be extra generous here because I'm proving a point to chat.
1 max.
Yeah, it's probably not even 1, but we'll give them 1 for this. Now they have 3 wins through the Cincinnati game. They play at Texas Tech, they play Utah at home, they play Kansas, and they play Oklahoma State. That's the end of their season. They win 2 of those games max, and that's being extremely generous. I almost wanted to say 1. Let's say they win 2 of those last 4. Let's say they get hot this year, the opposite of what they did last year when they got fat, happy, complacent, and cared more about their NIL money hitting their bank accounts than them actually going out there and playing football and winning games. Let's say they do the opposite of what we just saw them do last year when they absolutely folded, didn't give a shit or show any sort of adversity, and keeled over and died in the Pac-12. Let's say they do the opposite this year when those last 2. Guys, that's 5 wins.
5 wins.
And I was being extremely generous going over that schedule. I think it's closer to 3 than it is to 5, to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you what I told you last year. This Colorado team, if Coach Prime stays there, will be really, really good in 5 years. They will be a top 25 team guaranteed, probably more like a top 15 team and program in 5 years. It doesn't happen overnight. Sure, you can buy the recruits. Sure, you can get the new facilities. Sure, you got the commercials with Coach Prime in it. It's awesome. It's only going to help you get better players. But it still takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to build a winning culture, or else you're just the Yankees and you buy all your players and you don't actually win shit. It's going to take time, guys, and it's not going to be this year when Colorado breaks out. I just went over that schedule. I gave them the benefit of the doubts on the majority of those matchups, and they still are at 5 wins. They're going under 5.5, and it's a plus money. I am hammering it once again this year for $1,000, and I'll meet anybody who believes and isn't full of shit at the cash counter. Feel free to join me.
Sure. And I will say, I think I have a little different take on the non-conference, but overall, I think I'm with you. As much as I really wouldn't want to do it, I will love to take Colorado against Nebraska. Because you know what I think cancels out? Everybody's slurping Dylan Raiola. I don't think that's going to come together nearly as fast as people think. Even though I like Matt Rule. I'm a Matt Rule guy, but that's the one team that I think I'm selling a little more than everybody else.
Yep.
And I like Colorado there, but I can tell you what's going to happen. They're going to be a dog in Nebraska. They're going to go in and win. People are going to get hype, and then they're going to get stomped at Colorado State.
Huh.
So that's what's going to happen, because they're going to
be something?
They're going to be a dog in that game too on the road, and people are going to hammer them at plus money just like they did last season when they were plus money in a lot of those games.
Remember how much they were yapping Colorado State last year? Colorado State talked so much shit, too much. It bit him in the ass, to be honest with you, because it got Colorado fired up and they actually tried in that game, and they ended up spanking them. But they talked so much shit last year. Guys, this is the perfect, nasty, contrarian, betting on people, the human aspect of the game, and not just the X's and O's. Guys, I wish it was that easy as betting X's and O's. If it was, we would already be retired. It's not. You have to bet the human aspect, and Colorado State has been stewing over that embarrassing loss from last year where they talked all that shit. They kept it close, but they couldn't get the cigar, right? Close but no cigar. I think this year they pull off the upset at home, and they might even be favorites in that game, depending on, how Colorado does in those first couple.
No, they won't be.
You don't think
I'm
so?
pretty confident in that. Yeah.
Okay.
But regardless, I'll be fading them. If you give me Colorado State plus money at home, I will be taking that regardless. If you give them to me minus whatever they are, I will be taking it regardless.
Sure.
But I'm in because, again, I don't think people are very familiar with the teams in the Big 12. A lot of UCF hate in the chat. I don't have people not watched what that team did last year. And obviously it's a different little system now, but you know how excited Gus Malzahn is for KJ Jefferson?
Yeah.
He's talking about he's the closest thing he's had to Cam Newton since Cam Newton.
Yeah.
And he's super excited. Like, that running back room is one of the best in the Big 12. They have all the weapons. The defense is probably one of the best units in the conference as well. Like, that team scares the shit out of me as a Big 12 fan of another team. I think they're going to be in the Big 12 championship game. You're going to see them in Arlington.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, chat seems to be all aboard the Colorado train again this year, Jovan. I know we've moved on to bigger and better things here. We got an OJ Pimpson Bets resub as well 10 minutes ago. Love to see that from our guy OJ Pimpson. 3-month resub. Dubs, OJ. Jovan, man, chat's all aboard the Colorado Deion Sanders train once again.
Yeah, and
Hilarious.
to be honest, I was fully expecting, I think we talked about this last year, like fading them last year. I wanted to see them get it together for a year and get the program together, and it would be a lot of momentum heading into this season, but there isn't because it just seems like nothing is serious over there. They're losing guys in the portal, which other than Dylan Edwards, who went back for to go play with his childhood best friend, other than that, nothing is really put together. I don't think anybody else believes that they're building a serious program there. And the place that they've improved the most is, I guess, on the defensive line, but newsflash, that doesn't win you anything in the Big 12. That wins nothing. Find me a team that has won off of a dominant defensive line in the Big 12 in the past 10 years. Because Texas has won last year. It's not because of their defensive line. It's because they have better weapons and skill position everywhere. You got to win on the outside, which they have the guys to do, but not on both sides of the ball. It's that's not going to do them anything.
It's funny that right after the NFL draft, Travis Hunter was the shortest odds to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft for next year. Those odds have changed a ton since then, and probably deservingly so. But you're seeing stuff on your feed now that pops up. I know I'm seeing it. You probably are too, of NFL GMs or former NFL scout says, I'd be surprised if Travis Hunter goes number 1 overall. I don't understand how you even get the hype to be in that position in the first place. Is it only because he's on Colorado? Is it only because he plays both positions on both sides of the ball?
No, he's that good, Krabs. I'll agree with you everywhere else but that. Travis Hunter is 100% that good.
He's that good.
Yeah. I mean, he plays both sides of the ball, which is cool. And I mean, that plays into it a little bit, but what he does on both sides of the ball is crazy.
So you want me to give him a pass for an injured year last year, first real big year last year, and see what he can do this season?
I mean, you saw him
that injury was terrible.
Yeah, that was bad. And I mean, you saw him you saw him firsthand in the Carter game, right? I mean, not that TCU really had it together last season, or especially at that point, because they didn't know what the fuck Colorado was going to throw at them. But just ridiculous in every aspect. So Travis Hunter is not going to be the reason they don't win 6 games this year. I'll tell you that. Not a hot take, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of other things.
What do you think that team still needs to improve the most? It's got to be their O-line.
Well, I mean, the O-line's gotten better. I don't think it's made significant strides, but Shedera's got to learn to stop holding onto the ball for so long, especially in the Big 12, because more so, and people who played there can tell you, you got to be a little quicker than the Pac-12. The Pac-12 has a lot of long developing routes, which works against those teams. The Big 12, you got to be quick. So if he figures that out, they're going to be a little better. The secondary is cheeks. We know that. They're going to be in shootouts with every single team. Like I said, on Sweats, the Baylor-Colorado game will probably have 80 points minimum with those 2 offenses of what I expect out of them this year. It's just there's not enough on every side of the ball. They're not deep. They got better on the O-line, but they don't have any depth. They got better on the D-line. They don't have any depth. They don't have any depth at any position. It's that's the real problem.
I mean, what about if we're capping the human aspect? If we're looking at how Hunter treated his O-line the other day, the locker room, Shedeur and Travis Hunter about me. I don't know if people are going to be like that. It was like that last year, too.
That's what they got out there, a bunch of me guys.
Yeah, and does that transition?
one of the reasons like I wanted to buy into them this year because give them a year to build up the program. There was a lot of hype coming into last year, so they're bound to disappoint in some ways. But the me guy thing still seems to be there, and if it wasn't there, they wouldn't have had 70 guys transfer out of the portal. So that wouldn't have been an issue. You would have had a lot of the higher recruits who were considering Colorado or considering transferring there. They would be there.
Well, they probably transferred because they were tired of the father-son show, and they were thinking,
"Well, that's what I'm saying.
Working my butt off.
That's what I'm
day."
saying. They were tired. They were tired of it not feeling like a serious program. Like they're building something great, other than, the Dan Lanning quote of "They're doing it all for clicks." Dan Lanning is licking his chops right now.
Yes, he is. Dan Lanning with a unlimited NIL spend.
Yeah, that
can spend as much money as he wants. Why don't we talk about Oregon for a second? Good little pivot here.
Yeah.
We got Coltrane's coming in, resubbing for 16 months. Bang!
Oh, actually, since it's on the screen right now, we just want to talk about Mizzou.
Yeah, we could talk about Mizzou.
Yeah. Why not? With Nick in building. Yeah, I'm fading them.
Okay.
The total is juicy, which I feel like is kind of weird, but I want to bring up the numbers real quick because I was looking at them a lot this morning. We talked a lot about TCU, like fading them after their crazy historic season last year. And there's another team, Mizzou, who looks very, very similar, who I was looking at the two of them. 5-1 score wins for them in their conference for TCU in their year. Mizzou had 4, and they had 2 out of conference, which those were much worse games than TCU. They both faced a plethora of backup quarterbacks in their time. They both finished in the top 6 of luck rankings. TCU was number 1. Mizzou was number 6 last season. And they both had terrible schedules that finished a lot stronger than they started. So, the beginning of the season, they had a weak schedule and ended up finishing, top 10 partially. TCU didn't have the SEC to bank on to do that, but Mizzou did. So, there's a big difference there. And if you look, through their schedule, to be honest, last season, they got wins, which was great. They came through in every single spot late in games, and they kind of squeaked by a lot of shit teams, like Middle Tennessee State, beating them by 4, beating a Kansas State team who was super injured on the crazy field goal. A lot of that happened for Mizzou last year, and that defense was a lot worse than people realized. They have tackling metrics and stuff that is worse than some of the worst defenses in the Big 12, and they lose half the guys that are starting for that this season. So the one difference, obviously, between TCU and Mizzou is that Brady Cook is coming back. So everybody expects that to be the rock that they're on. But looking at A, how fortunate they were last year in every single late game situation, and B, they did lose a lot of guys to the draft on both sides of the ball, just not named Brady Cook. I'm expecting them to regress a little bit this season. That's one hype train I'm very excited to fade. But looking at their schedule this season, I think there are some potential potholes. It looks easy on paper, but I don't necessarily see it that way, Krabs.
Well, we'll take a peep at it here in a second, and you could kind of breeze through and take us through their schedule. Let's see how legitimate this Mizzou fade is, or if it's not just a spite-hate fade.
I don't really hate Mizzou. I don't live in this household, so I don't have to see it nearly as much. But there's no spite fades. No spite fades here.
The one qualm we have with the Mizzou squad, which is just our guy Nick and Josh, obviously they're alums, so they should be talking about their teams, just like Goots with his O's. It gets annoying at times, but they're talking about their teams. They're passionate. You can't hate it, right?
Yeah.
But there's a but here. Mizzou had one good year of sports, and they act like they're the next big thing. They got to slow their roll a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I'm impressed with what they're building on the basketball court and the football field, I will say. And they have a ton of NIL, and I think they're moving in the right direction. Maybe they don't go over their wins this season on the football field after an insane year last season.
And you know what?
But it'll be close. They're not going to be bad.
It'll be close. Yeah, they're not going to be bad. I think they'll get 8 or 9 wins. They'll still have a solid season. It's just what this reminds me of, because we're talking about the TCU parallel, and obviously Mizzou didn't make it to the national championship, but remember how Pete talked about the Marlins in baseball?
Yeah.
About how you fade some of the luckiest teams. That applies to all sports, not just baseball. Baseball, you just get to see it in a larger data sample size. And that's one of the reasons why, as much as it hurt me to say, I was screaming fade TCU pretty much all year long last season because they were bad. Mizzou's in the same spot. Just they're not going to be as bad as TCU, but they play in a tougher conference with a schedule that's a lot different than playing Houston and Iowa State.
Yep.
So they have spots here, even with what seems like an easy schedule. I don't think it's like that.
Well, take us through here because, I like the way they're moving and grooving. They got an NIL, and I want to buy stock in their basketball program this upcoming year after going over last year in conference play. I do want to buy stock in Mizzou basketball next season.
That's
I want
fair.
that on record.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that.
But if we want to sell a little high on Mizzou football for just this year, take me through the schedule, tell me what you're seeing.
Yeah, so I mean, the obvious, they're like every SEC team. I mean, they're out of conferences, cupcake central. So like
They got some weird games though, dude.
they got some weird games, but I mean, it's Missouri, Buffalo, and UMass. I don't know why they're going to UMass.
I was looking at the next couple.
Yeah, I was looking at the next couple. But what, Nick? Do you know why they're going to UMass? What the fuck is that?
I do not know why they're going to UMass.
Not that they're going to lose that game, but that's just a funny game. But yeah, the next couple games, like going to Texas A&M, Kyle Field. I mean, I wouldn't say like I'm a Texas A&M slurper this year necessarily, but like I'm a Weigman believer. I think they're going to be solid, and especially if that Texas A&M game early season against Notre Dame ends up not going their way, I would love to buy stock in what's going to be a big one a couple weeks later to open SEC play, or close to that second week game of SEC play for Mizzou. So like a little Texas A&M at home there. They have to go to Alabama, which is a tough game for everybody. That Oklahoma game, I think, is really, really weird. We know that's a little rivalry in there, and I'm big on Oklahoma this year. Auburn, I think, is going to have a bounce-back year, too. Maybe they beat them in Mizzou. They have to go to Mississippi State, which I think is a tough one. I think they have a better year. So, like, this is a one with, I think, a couple potholes, more than you think. Because, like, yeah. I think for them to get 10 wins, every single thing has to go right again, which I don't think is a possibility. It's like I think you're certainly getting 3 L's out of Mizzou. And BC, no cakewalk for sure. Dead Larry Bird.
That game, that's the weirdest one on there.
That is the weirdest one because that is early in the season too. And that BC team, people forget, you know, their head coach is a guy with a shit ton of experience at every level of football. He's building a little program might be something a little nice.
That game, they'll either win by 40 or Boston College will win outright.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely like so much more talented at Boston College. But you remember where Bill O'Brien used to coach in the SEC, where he's seen that team plenty of times, and I'm sure he's familiar with a lot of what they're going to throw at them or what they have or capable of throw at them. So I'm not going to say they necessarily win that game, but that is a very odd game before they start SEC play.
Big Cheesy said, I'll tell you he's not good. Virginia Tech when Krabs on the sticks. Yeah, that is true. Guys, I'm in the lab too much. I'm not playing video games enough. That's on me. We got All Day Allen coming in resubbing for 10 months. W's Allen. We got the Memphis Grizzlies. Ridiculous name. That took me a second there. Just got here, boys. Have Krabs and Jovan addressed Alex Sarr's 0 for 15 performance last night? No, I have not. I think we fucked up again, man. And it's not just because of that last game. I actually didn't watch that game last night because I was at the All-Star game with the squad, W's. But I watched his first 2 games. This guy is the kid on your middle school basketball team who is the tallest, biggest guy on your team that you need in the center to get you need in the paint to get rebounds. And the guy thinks he's a point guard, and he's dribbling up the court. He's taking the ball up. He's dribbling up here. He's, on the 3-point arc. He's jacking up shots. This guy thinks he's a point guard. What is he doing? Get in the paint. You're 7 feet tall. What are you doing out there doing step back threes, Alex Sarr? You are a power forward, brother. What are we doing dribble moves on the court? And why are we shooting why are half your shots from 3? That's not the guy we drafted. That's not the guy we need in the paint. Why did we take him? If he's going to shoot threes, why didn't we take Reed Shepherd, who can shoot plenty of threes and is looking like he's going to be the next Tyler Hero type story in the league, where he got taken way earlier than people thought, but you could tell right off the rip immediately just in Summer League that he's him and he's an NBA player. Why didn't we just take Reed Shepherd?
Now, I will say to Sarr's defense a little bit, I think he's trying to work on everything in his game when in reality, like when you're playing with Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, whoever it is, like they're very ball dominant guys. Like I feel like he's going to find his footing a little better. Not that he's playing against better competition when we get to actual NBA play, but like they're not making him play like the same role now in like the Summer League because he's not playing with those guys. Like I feel like once you get a couple games under his belt, like in the preseason and to start the season with a lot of those guys, he'll figure out like how to play a little more comfortable.
I mean, he looks lost.
Yeah, he's just trying to find a ceiling, I guess. That's probably what they want to see from him. It's just like in reality, he's not going to be bringing the ball up the court or be a ball dominant guy. He's like,
I mean, if I have to see one more behind the back 3 step back shot from Alex Sarr, I'm done.
yeah, he's just not doing that with everybody else on the court. Though. That's the thing.
But he's doing a whole lot of it.
This is a bad video.
He's doing a whole lot of it the first 3 games.
You're wide open at the top of the key. We're in the front of the rim.
Yeah, that's wild.
I can make that.
Man.
I'm making that like there's one guy in the paint that you're
Trent can make that.
body. That's just a terrible shot decision. He's pressing too much.
Yeah, I'm worried. Like I told you guys before the NBA draft stream, if I was the GM, well, I think I said I would have taken Dalton Connect, but I know I was talking about Reed Shepherd as well in there saying, sometimes you just got to take the best player on the boards. And if it's not, a position of need, who gives a shit? This is the NBA draft. Draft the best guy out there. Draft the guy who, when you close your eyes, you can see him in 10 years, banging a 3 from the corner to take his team to the playoffs. Alex Sarr, I don't know if he's that guy. Reed Shepherd, I've already seen that dude's hit a crazy 3 in a playoff game down the line because look at how he's played in the first 3 games. Could not be more comfortable out there. Running the offense, running the show. That kid's a freak. He's a stud. I can't believe he didn't start at Kentucky. Unbelievable. Yeah, I'm out. Look, maybe you're right. Maybe if they're telling him to do the exact opposite of what he should be doing, then that is a Wizards move, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
See how high your ceiling is, see how versatile you can be when it's a summer league and it doesn't matter and you're playing with guys who are not even going to be on your team in a couple weeks here. I get it, I guess, but that's not the game plan I would have set up. Now, I'm not a GM.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if it's like a game plan. It's just like both from his perspective and the organization's perspective, I'm sure there's a lot of like urgency to force because
he's literally playing like Yapton.
The summer league for the Wizards is literally all about Alex Sarr's development. I mean, they have other guys, of course, that they want to see like Keyshawn George and everybody else, but I feel like Alex Sarr's development starting this is like the headline of the offseason. So like from his perspective, I'm sure he's forcing. From the Wizards' perspective, I feel like there's a lot of onus being put on his shoulders to be super aggressive in this game, even when it's not a shot selection that necessarily fits him. It's just, I wouldn't panic yet.
Oh, man. Wizards team is moose. Yeah, they are. But Bob Carrington's good.
Bob Carrington is good.
Bob Carrington's
good.
I
feel like he's just so comfortable in that role no matter what. So, like, they don't have to make him do anything.
Yeah.
It's just naturally his game.
He was good. Tristan Da Silva.
Tristan Da Silva's kind of
good.
Da
Silva stole our coins the other night. Brutal.
Maybe shooter.
Never fading him again.
Tucker said Krabs is a woman. He overreacts so much. First off, I could tell that guy doesn't have a girlfriend.
Dude, that guy be bitching in the chat, bro.
I get bitched at when I show no emotion. I get bitched at when I show too much emotion. You can't win for these people. It is what it is. A good thing I'm not working for Tucker, because if I was, I'd probably jump off the balcony in GTA.
Let's go to Oregon.
Let's go to Oregon.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the unlimited NIL pool they have going on out there. If you guys aren't hip, Phil Knight, Nike owner, does not have much time left. Bless his heart. He's an old gentleman, old fella, and he wants to see his team get a national championship. He wants to see his team win big. He has given them access to all of his funds. He has literally told the school, whatever you need, I got you. They have unlimited money. This is a good reminder and a good time, when we have some time today with no games really, to plant this in your guys' brains for the next couple seasons. We're looking at college sports. Everything has changed with the NIL shit going on right now. Whatever you knew before, whatever you knew about dynasties, about great schools, great teams, winning schools, winning programs, I guess you could call them, take it, throw it out the window. Okay. It doesn't matter anymore. There's one thing that matters. It is NIL. Okay. And I'm not saying it's foolproof. I'm not saying it's the only thing that matters, but it's the most important by far. NIL is king, because you can get yourself a giant head start. And if you have Phil Knight, who is the richest guy on fucking earth, who founded Nike, saying, you dip it in my pockets whenever you need, if you got to go out and get a guy, Oregon has no excuses this year. And I know they're one of the most popular picks to make it to the college football playoffs, to win the college football playoffs. They're probably the second most trendy future team I've seen besides my Virginia Tech Hokies at this point, just being talked about and slurped this whole offseason. It's ridiculous. But Oregon probably deserves it. And if they don't go to the college football playoffs, that's one of the biggest letdown Yankee-type seasons in college football history.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm in love with Oregon investments because I'm not going to act like it's this massive step up because Oregon is Oregon. It's not like we're talking about UCLA's jump to the Big Ten, but defensive or defense wise, it is. And the thing is, like, you're getting invested in like a 10.5 win total when I think there's a guaranteed loss on there. It's like that's my issue because between Ohio State and Michigan, I think they win one of those games. Going into the Big House is tough. I know this is not going to be the Michigan we saw last year, but looking at the schedule, there's a guaranteed loss on there in my eyes. And we talk about these games in the Big 12 or the Big 10, there's always these potholes, just like going to Camp Randall late in the season. They're going to play Wisconsin. They have a weird, like, super late bye week during Thanksgiving week. I don't know why that is, but going to Camp Randall, like we've seen time and time again, Ohio State go into Purdue and have some trouble, which they're going to be put in that same position. So, like, not that their Big Ten schedule is incredibly difficult. It just feels like the margin for error is very, very slim, which is, I don't know, similar to my thoughts on Mizzou, but I don't know, taking the step up kind of worries me a little bit because it feels like everything has to be perfect. And it doesn't help that, I was super high on Dylan Gabriel last year, and he seems to be already given the Heisman Trophy this year.
Yeah.
So I think
to address that real quick here, somebody in chat was saying he might win the Heisman. Guys, he's the favorite to win the Heisman.
Yeah.
He's now ahead of Shador, ahead of everybody in college football. He's the favorite. Crazy. He deserves it.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. I love Dylan Gabriel. I think he's going to fit beautifully in that system. It's just, I
think the only reason you're not buying in is because you're thinking that was so last year. You got ahead of it last year. You said Dylan Gabriel was going to be him. He low-key was. And now you're hopping off because everybody's hopping on the Oregon train. Jovan, I feel like the NIL, that might be the difference maker here. They have, they're going to have the best roster in college football.
It'll be really good.
The best roster in college football.
Don't get me wrong.
That doesn't mean they're going to win.
Really good. It just feels like, again, like I hate to say the same phrase, but the margin for error for Oregon is very, very slim. The margin for error for Dylan Gabriel is also very, very slim. So
yes.
it scares me if we're talking about, again, like the 10.5 win total, the Gabriel Heisman. I mean, that will be a popular narrative. So I think he'll always be in the mix there somewhat throughout the season. And I don't know, they start the season relatively easy. Like Boise State's going to be pretty good this year. So that's not a layup game, but a game that I don't think they're losing at home. The Oregon State rivalry, probably not losing that either, even though it's in Corvallis. That'll be a tough game. That'll be fun to watch. But beyond then, like, there'll be a while where he's able to rack up numbers before they have like a real challenging game, being the Ohio State game, which is also, in Eugene. So, I mean, schedule's favorable, I guess you could say. It's just, I don't think that Oregon is going to be trap free from a lot of these games because, like I said, I don't think they're beating Ohio State and Michigan, and that I wouldn't be surprised if they lose them all either, lose them both. It's just everything has to be perfect for them, and they have the roster. Like, that's their ceiling. I just don't think everything's going to go perfect because we've also seen teams. I know we haven't seen it at this level necessarily because it's all very, very new, but teams that go into a new conference in their first year, that's generally the worst investment you can make. And now they also have a new quarterback. That's the center focus of the offense. Being a part of that, I'm a little scared.
All right, I want to move. I want to talk about one more team here.
Talk
and we can start wrapping this puppy up. Or do we want to go over this entire schedule here real quick with Oregon?
I mean, what do you think about the schedule?
Let's power through this one and make it a quickie. Goots, go to the top. And what's their win total at? That's probably
10.5.
10.5. Okay, that's
plus
really
chick.
fucking high.
Plus chick to the over.
That hook is rough because they're going to lose one of those.
It's going to be 10 or
State.
11. Yeah, it's 10 or 11.
If you talk to me about a 10 flat, I would
like.
I'd be a little more years.
I like Oregon this year, but I would not take that over. I'd take that under because of that hook.
Yeah, if there's a team that's at 10.5, which I'm pretty sure they're at 10.5, but we're just talking about expecting perfection, like, I would rather take Notre Dame, who's in that similar situation than Oregon.
Let's go over their schedule real quick.
Yeah.
We got Idaho, that's a win. Boise State at home, could be sketchy. That's a win.
I think you're sweating those two games, but they're not getting the loss.
Boise might cover.
Or not first two games, but Boise and Oregon
Second
State.
and third.
Yeah.
Sweats, but they're both wins. UCLA is not great, but that's still a weird game on the roads.
Yeah.
They probably still win all those games and are still undefeated. If I get one more weird matchup, though, I'm going to have to hand them a loss here and combine those games. Maryland, that's a win. Maryland's a joke on the roads. Oregon and Wisconsin. Washington, after their run last year, that's a win. That's a win. The Wisconsin game on the road's a win. I don't see a loss.
I see 2.
You think they lose to Ohio State and Michigan?
Okay, top right. You scrolled down a lot more than I thought. I'm here now. I'm locked in. Ohio State is probably a loss. That's the one. They're going to go into the big house and they're going to win. They're going to beat Michigan. But they will lose to Ohio State. That's their one loss.
I mean,
you know which one I already see happening, Krabs?
Washington again.
No.
Good.
Right after maybe they beat Ohio State.
No way we're saying Purdue.
Friday night in West Lafayette. That's not an easy game, and it has never been an easy game for anybody in that conference, Ohio State included, Michigan included. That screams weekday crap game.
We're back in
That's
the Boilermakers in this
under right
economy.
I think they
No
beat Ohio
way.
State and lose to Michigan.
If they beat Ohio State and then they're going Friday night to West Lafayette, Krabs,
I think they lose that game.
the
though.
biggest letdown of all time.
There are more sketchy games on this schedule than I initially anticipated. I'll give you that.
Drew Brees on the roster?
I'll give you that.
Drew Brees coming back.
They have a good QB now, though, huh? Who's the guy they had last year who was solid? At Purdue. He went into Virginia Tech and beat us on our home fucking field. These guys transferred around 7 times. Purdue's QB. Anybody in chat know?
College football Rav can't even get it.
Can I add in something here?
Yeah.
Add
Sure.
something.
I want you to look from Ohio State, the Ohio State game, all the way to the end of the year.
That's where
They
I'm at.
go home Ohio State, away Purdue, home Illinois, away Michigan, home Maryland, away Wisconsin, home Washington. They're going back and forth traveling
Ooh.
the rest of the year after Ohio State. You're telling me they're not going to be, jet lagged
Dude,
a lot. They're
Ralph's
not going to
spitting.
be, that Michigan game looks like a loss because of that.
We were talking about that with the ACC too, because I think a lot of teams, even though like Stanford's not going to be that good, Cal I think is going to be decent, but that's a little biased. But like those teams that are going cross country, that's troublesome. And I know the trips are a little longer going from Virginia Tech to Stanford than it is going from I don't know, Illinois to Oregon or whatever it ends up being. But it's not easy.
No,
that's difficult. So I mean, especially if you're going short week after not just a big game, but Ohio State at home, short week to West Lafayette.
I'll tell you what, that narrative only matters if they lose a game early to middle of the season. If they have a loss under their belts, or if they lose that game against Ohio State, which I think that could be the one loss, then I'm worried about that, traveling back and forth. But if that team's undefeated heading into that stretch, you could have them play on the fucking moon, Raph.
Yeah.
And they're going to have so much juice. It's not going to matter.
I mean, they should be good enough to where it shouldn't matter.
It's not going to matter.
And if there's one guy I want leading the troops for that, it's Dan Lanning.
Yeah, he's a goat. He's a
Dan Lanning and
motivational
Dylan
king.
Gabriel. Been there
Motivational
before.
king. All right. I had something else for you guys. Oh, I got a sleeper team.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I got a sleeper team in my own backyard. An ACC sleeper, not the Hokies. You guys are welcome. Okay, I've talked about them enough. I do think they're a legitimate bet, though, and a team that we could take as a sprinkle this year. All jokes aside.
Talk to me, Krabs.
But let's talk about another ACC team that gets no respects around these parts. An ACC team who, they're not flashy. They're almost like the Mets or the Clippers of the ACC. There's other schools around them. They get all the attention, all the flash, better students, harder to get into, whatever. This school's kind of no shit. But I like the way their football team has been moving and grooving over the last couple of years. And I really like their quarterback. And if you don't know who I'm talking about yet, I'm talking about the NC State Wolfpack. Yeah, NC State. I'm looking at their line over 8.5, minus 130 juiced. That keeps getting juicier. That was not as juicy a couple weeks ago when I was initially looking at these lines. But NC State catching some steam on that over-win total for a reason. And I would not be surprised if this team, in a year where the ACC is all over the place, we got new teams, we got a lot of down years, we got the Hokies who are probably going to win it with ease, and nobody else is really that good. There's a lot of weird intangibles, and I think it's going to be a different team this year, whether it's the Hokies, probably not, they always blow it, or a team like NC State that's gotten so close in recent years, but no cigar. I want to buy stock in the Wolfpack, a team that always has a good defense, a place that's sneakily pretty tough to play. It's no Lane Stadium like their fans are acting like on Twitter this offseason. Ridiculous comments, but That's a pretty tough place to play. They actually show up and fill the seats way more than Duke and UNC do for football. They'll show up a little bit. And they've got Grayson McCall, who's got a 2 GPA and couldn't go anywhere else, but NC State will take him. He said, come on in. All right, we're like the little brother. We got Duke and UNC next door. They care about grades. We don't give a shit. They got the talent. They got Grayson McCall, Coastal Carolina legend. If you guys don't remember him, you might not after last year, to be honest with you. Had a shit year last year. Down year, was hurt, not a great season. Transferred to like 6 different places this all season. Finally ended up at NC State officially. I want to buy stock in the Wolfpack. In a year where the ACC's down, in a year where I like their schedule, we're going to look at it here in a moment. I want to buy a stock in the Wolfpack. I like this team at over 8.5 wins for the season, and I would not be surprised if Grayson McCall leads this squad to an ACC championship.
Also, I heard that DJ Burns is going to play center.
Wow.
Oh, that's huge.
Well, he's not going to play in the NBA, so they might need him. Sure.
I will say, I mean, bring up their schedule.
Let's
here,
go through their schedule.
They have a really interesting schedule that I kind of like, Krabs.
Let's go through their schedule.
I mean,
While Goots is pulling that up, do you think their line is weird where it's at right now?
I think we'll see after we go through the schedule.
At
I think
8.5?
I think it's pretty fair.
Okay.
I mean, they open against Western Carolina. That's a win. I would say the out of conference games, they're winning all 3 of them against Western Carolina, Louisiana Tech, Northern Illinois. Their toughest games are early. They get Tennessee and then what I believe is a neutral site game, but it's still in North Carolina.
Don't say anything
It's at the
about
Panther Stadium. I'm seeing
Sure,
now.
it's in Charlotte.
Yeah,
So
so the
still
Panther Stadium. So
close.
neutral site game,
retrospect.
kind of a home game, but not really. Tennessee fans, I'm sure, will travel to that. And they play at Clemson week 4, which is a loss because Clemson's going to be really good. But other than that, like they start to get going. They have time to like ramp up after that. Like they played NIU after that. They play Wake Forest. They play Syracuse 3 straight games at home. They do go to Cal, which may be a little troublesome, but they have a bye week after that. So travel is at least alleviated for that before they host Stanford and Duke, who I think is also going to be a little better than some people think, then another bye week before they go on the road 2 straight games against a mid-to-ass Georgia Tech team and big game against UNC. I feel like it's a very front-loaded schedule that kind of works.
I mean, look, I don't have good vision, Jovan. I'll tell you what, I can't see shit, but I'm seeing 10 wins up there on the board.
I think that's
I'm
not
seeing
crazy
10
to say.
wins. I'm seeing a sleeper team in the ACC, a team that nobody ever wants to bet on, nobody ever wants to back. They never do anything, but their program has gained some serious momentum with their sports teams over the last couple of years. Maybe it has something to do with NIL. I know they got some rich donors, some old geese balls sitting there at all these games. I always see them when I turn on the fucking TV, especially for college basketball. They got hella geezers down there in Raleigh who are throwing their bills at NC State. They've got plenty of coins. Guys, do not sleep on the Wolfpack this season. I'm seeing 10 wins.
I think that could be their ceiling. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think they're beating Clemson on the road, but I think they could have a chance to beat Tennessee in that neutral site game early. And then they can get one of those games. I think you're sitting pretty.
That's what I was going to say. They always find a way to blow.
They
it.
always do.
Always.
It's unbelievable.
Like late game heroics from the other team. It always happens.
Yeah.
To Javon's point earlier, one of the unluckiest teams in football. I would love to have some coins on that squad because as time goes on, that's going to average out. And anybody who disagrees is a bozo. That's just how life works.
Chote's right. They do have Darius Rucker, famous country singer. He might have some coins lying around.
Wow. Darius Rucker.
He went there.
Wow. Hootie.
Hootie Blowfish.
People forget.
Yes, people forget.
Hootie. Okay. K-Sav said, I live on campus. Put some respect on our name. We're going to the playoffs. WK-Sav, have some confidence this year. Have some confidence. All right. Can we talk about Clemson, or else this guy Zacko21 is going to have a conniption in the chat, and I also want to talk about them too before we wrap up here.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Clemson. Okay. Clemson has the most stubborn, pea-minded coach who's living in his own little fantasy lands. I've never seen a guy be so smart and have so much potential, but do so much stupid shit and not expect anybody with half a brain to notice what he's doing, or that it's a bit, or that it's a facade, or that he actually doesn't give a shit about the players. Remember when that guy said he didn't want the players to get paid, and if they did, he'd retire? He'd hang them up.
Still up and moving.
NIL is probably the biggest talking point in all of sports for the last year and the coming years, and he is still taking his paychecks. What a lying scumbag piece of shit. And he's so stubborn and so stuck in his ways that he's not going to accept a single transfer to that team after what we saw last year. Well, two things. They're either absolutely stacked, folded last season, and Dabo knows they're coming back for a revenge tour this year. And you guys know I like backing, narratives like that. A team that folded last season, backing them for the upcoming year. That's my shit. I love that. That's crabby as hell. But I can't tell if it's that case or if Dabo has his head too far up his own ass at this point to build a successful college football program. This is a make or break year. This is like UVA, Tony Bennett, college basketball type, right? There's a reason why UVA has kind of been fading off recently, and that's because Tony Bennett does not like the one and dones. He likes bringing in these 3 stars and building them up and having them be there for 4 years. Who the fuck wants to do that anymore? You could be a one and done and make $1 million that year in NIL and go to one of the more fun, cool schools and not be a UVA Cavalier, and then go to the pros the next year and be rich and a professional athlete. Use your brains. I know we're all about building great culture and building great organizations and programs, and that stuff matters. Trust me. Watching the Dan Lanning speeches pregame gets me more juiced up than anyone else. That shit matters too. But I'll tell you what matters more right now, NIL, and being open to changing and adapting with a very, very, very changing, rapidly sport. Dabo, you're stuck in your own way, my man, and you're going to fuck yourself over. Not a single transfer. Not one. They're running it back with that squad last year. Jovan, after talking all that shit, they might do something.
They might. And you know what?
They might do something.
You know what I love?
They might do something
about the way it's going to set up this year. Because last year, they got punched in the mouth early. Like that game against Duke was funny to watch as somebody kind of rooting on the downfall and betting on Duke in that game. But like looking at their schedule, I don't think you thought they were going to get punched in the mouth early in the season. Like you expected Florida State to be good. That was a dogfight, but that was in week 4. But you started off, with Duke, Charleston Southern, FAU. Then you went to FSU or hosted FSU in a game you lost in OT. Then you had Syracuse, Wake. So, the schedule last year set up a little easier to start, at least on paper. And you got punched in the mouth early. I feel like coaching-wise and strategy-wise with Garrett Riley, he was going to make some adjustments or see if, kind of feel it out, see how it goes. This year you start with Georgia. And then you have 2 weeks before you play NC State, which is going to be a big game. Then you have 2 weeks before you play Florida State in Tallahassee. I think, and I want to pay attention very much to how he talks leading up to the season and I don't know, how much it seems like he's listening and open to change as far as the offense goes, because the reason they're bad is because they didn't let Garrett Riley take the realms. Gabo had his fingerprints all over the offense, you could tell.
Yep.
If he gives that up a little bit this year, which I have a very strong feeling he might leading up to the season because he doesn't have a choice.
He's never done it before. He's never done anything
never
like
done
that
it before. But I think after the way last year went and the fact that they're starting the season off early with games you can't just feel out, because he said that phrase a million times throughout the season last year. You can't just feel it out. You got to be ready. You got to come with a plan. You got to come with something that you've never seen before. And what I think is big into convincing, not that he had any play in this, but big in convincing Dabo to give up some reins. Who faced Georgia? Garrett Riley.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, not that they did much in that game. But
we bitched about it all last season, Jovan. You bring in this offensive mind, and you don't use it.
Yeah. That
like
was
the
the problem.
meme of the nice car in that shithole under the awning, that tweet that always goes viral every couple of weeks.
That was the problem. And I did hear something very interesting because it seemed like there was, not that we couldn't see this from watching him. There was a big disconnect between Dabo and like what Dabo was telling Cade Klubnik and what Garrett Riley was telling Cade Klubnik. And if you watched him for a little bit, you could definitely tell there was a little indecision there. So I think this offseason is going to be big in getting that together.
Make or break year for Clemson. We have their schedule up. Let's go through it briefly, and then we're going to wrap this puppy up. Look, I think Dabo is a fool. I think Dabo is too stubborn. But I also think Clemson is that team where, after getting absolutely embarrassed last season, much like the Padres and the Mets, like we've talked about, where they go all in, they're stubborn, they're in their own way, they're buying all their guys, they got the new QB transfer coming in, right? Life could be good here. It's not the same anymore. You got to give over the reins to the offensive coordinator that you brought in, that everybody's been hyping up. Change your ways and adapt, or retire. The sport that you're coaching and managing has changed significantly. This is not the same college football when Dabo Swinney became the head coach at Clemson. It's the opposite. It's the exact opposite. And I get why they're bitching. And people can bitch. You can have your opinions. All right, I understand. And it's getting out of control and the players are fucking annoying and they're getting paid too much. I get all that stuff. I get it. But if you're not going to adapt, then get the fuck out of here. Retire. Because you're going to look like a fool. If he doesn't hand the reins over, Clemson's going to lose to Virginia Tech and Blacksburg. It's the only chance he has. Let's go through their schedule.
Yeah.
Georgia.
It's a loss, but I think they'll look better in it than people think. I don't know what the line's going to be, but
that's a game right now.
Might be betting Clemson.
I'll tell you, I'll have the points.
I mean,
I'll have.
At Georgia.
It's in Clemson, so
No, it's at.
It might be neutral.
It's at
oh, it's neutral.
Yeah, it's in Atlanta, so
Oh,
it's a
okay.
Georgia home game.
I'll tell you right now, I will be on the points in that game.
Yeah.
It is what it is. The plus. Points.
Line's already at Georgia minus 13.5, 14.5, around there.
Oh, it's that high?
Yeah,
That makes sense.
It's gotta be that high, Krabs.
It's Georgia.
I will be on Clemson unless they're super popular or Trent's on them. App State, that could be weird. Maybe App State goes into another big school and beats them. Probably not, though. NC State, that's going to be tough as well.
It's an emphatic win, I think, Krabs. I think they beat the shit out of them.
Out of App State?
No, out of NC State.
Okay.
Remember what happened last year?
Is that the one they blew at Brennan Armstrong?
That's the one they blew. Well, that's the one Clemson blew.
Clemson blew at NC
blew.
State. Sure.
See, last year, so they had back-to-back losses. The OT crazy game against Miami, which, first of all, if we're talking about their last season, they had the OT game against
bro.
They had the OT game against FSU. They had the OT game against Miami. They had the game against NC State that they easily could have won, lost out by 7 points. Those are 3 one-possession wins that I think could have easily swung Clemson's way, especially both the overtime games.
Snellzilla.
We got
Snellzilla.
Blake Snell, the GOAT.
No
GOAT.
In the
chance.
chat, he's saying to wake the hell up. What's up, Snelly? How we doing?
We up.
Snell, bitch at Trent, man. He's not even streaming today. It's pretty soft.
Pretty
Give him
soft.
some bitching.
Although we're doing some college football streams later tonight. So that's a W. But Snell, man, you've been dialed of late. All right. I actually bet on your squad in that last game. You've been dialed.
Yeah,
of
Snellman's
late.
locked
Looking
in,
sharp up there on the mounts. Not surprised. All right. As a lefty myself, I know when a guy's got the juice or not. I can tell Blake Snell. He knows what he's doing. He's playing chess, not checkers. Took him a little bit to get going, but God, his last couple starts, he's been dominant.
He's looked dialed.
Snellzilla's back. Let's go.
Let's go.
Come on. W's. Good to see you, my man, Blake. Hope all is well. I know you got a lot of family stuff going on too. You got a new kid. You got a new contract, new team. Crazy
2K.
year.
When are we on that again?
When are we? you want to yell at Trent a little
Dude,
bit and play some 2K?
Yeah, yell at Trent
Soon,
for
I'm
that
in.
shit, man.
No, we can get it set up, but I'm saying he wants to yell at Trent again. and
Oh
play
yeah, I
some
know.
2K.
I know.
Sure. That stuff makes my night.
It's so funny.
Nothing better
Trent
than
has
hearing-
actually sneakily gotten a lot better too. I will say that.
He goes, I'm nasty right now, so I'm ready for some 2K.
No, you're not playing NCAA?
Yeah, any college football action. Blake, let me know.
You playing with
Tapped in.
Washington?
Gotta
Yeah, I
be.
feel
Gotta
like
be
your
playing the
Huskies got to
Huskies.
get up and moving here, Blake. Huh? All right, that's such a W.
Love that.
Gosh, man. Always good to see the GOAT in the chats. And we do need to play some 2K. I'm on NCAA,
Wow.
but they did a bad job with
What?
it. Snell
Snell's
said.
out
Like
on it.
NCAA.
We got
the
a Blake.
drums, yeah.
Oh, the
No,
No,
drums
he
are the
probably
worst.
doesn't like the cheesy
Can they mute
go
the
routes.
music in the background
Dude,
where
they
they're
gotta-
playing the drums for an hour when you're trying to pick your team
Recruiting
and
is
how much time the games are and shit?
terrible.
Dude, they gotta start getting some Skrilla up and moving or something.
Wow.
On the menu.
I haven't heard many people bitch about it, but I'm happy to hear some people being honest now, talking about the game. Snell said they did a bad job with it. Recruiting is terrible. Waited 10 years to not know the overall. I'm recruiting. Oh, that is
crazy.
kind of moose shit. Yeah,
That is
that's kind of
moose.
brutal.
That is boost.
All right. I do like the gameplay, and I think the stadiums look really cool. I mean, we've only watched like 4 or 5 games. Need to get in the
Yeah.
lab with like all the other game modes and shit, but I could so see that. I think once people really start getting in the weeds a week or so from now, we're going to start hearing some bitching.
Yeah, we'll probably. There's gonna be bitching about
There's
it
always
again.
bitching.
Yeah.
All right. W Snell. All right. Let's lock in here and talk a little bit about Clemson. Let's
Yes.
finish this puppy up.
So what I was saying first is a lot of one possession losses, both the overtime games. I think if 1 or 2 of those swing Clemson's way last year, we're talking about them a lot differently to now. And you know what happened after they lost those back-to-back games against Miami and NC State? What do you know? They came back, really good win against Notre Dame. And I have a feeling this is where the switch started to happen with a little more Garrett Riley and a little less Dabo in the offense. They put up 31, 42, 31 in those next 3 weeks before they did kind of lay an egg in the South Carolina game, but they still won the game comfortably. So that end of the season gives me a lot of hope that Dabo is taking his fingerprints off the offense just slowly but surely.
And I kind of like they're playing these hard games in the beginning. Maybe they drop one of them, maybe they drop two of them, and they hand the clipboard over to the OC, right? And you're saying Dabo maybe stops being so stubborn and gets his head out of his fucking ass and lets his OC do his job.
And I mean, every big spot until the Notre Dame game, they folded. Yeah. Like the Duke game to kick off the season, they got fucking smoked. That was the one game they got smoked.
Yep.
The FSU game, which was tough, and the only, chance FSU had to lose a game, really. The most they're on the ropes, they choked. Miami game in Miami, they choked when they have 50 chances to win. NC State game, same deal. They finally got one in Notre Dame, and now they're going to have chances early and often in this game. Like, I think that NC State game, those are usually pretty closely contested games. I don't know that it's going to be this year.
Okay.
I'm foreshadowing a big Clemson bet.
Wow.
In that game.
Wow. So you're in with me this year. After all that shit we talked about Clemson and how their coach is getting his own way, you still kind of want to buy stock in Clemson this season?
Yeah.
Maybe after the first couple games, maybe like a live win total over?
Yeah, which I don't know how much it would move after Georgia because, I think everybody expects them to lose that game. It's probably baked in, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind the win total. I think they're winning 10. Yeah, I don't know what numbers are going to get on some of these games, but the NC State big game, I'm going to be taking them. Florida State, both those games they lost last year, I will be in on Clemson. Especially, you're probably going to get a decent number depending on what Florida State does early in the season because that game's in Tallahassee.
Yep. I could see it like it was yesterday. They drop a game or two early on. Everybody counts out Clemson once again, and then they come storming at the end of the year and win 10 in a row.
And I hate to say it too, Krabs. That game in Lane Stadium.
You can leave that one off. You don't have to say it.
If I'm just looking at Virginia Tech's schedule, I mean the one before a bye week too. This is everything for VT. Probably going to be the late night ABC game or whatever in Lane Stadium. If there is a letdown spot for Virginia Tech in this entire schedule, I don't know if it's unexpected because it's probably the best team they play or toughest spot they have. It's definitely that one.
Correct. When we play the best opponent on our schedule, that'll be a letdown spot. Yes.
Yeah. It's just more, I guess, situationally, it's all eggs in that basket before the bye week. And everybody's going to be rocking. That's going to be the game for the season.
Yeah. That's going to be enough.
Yeah.
Anyways. All right. In honor of Snell hopping in the chat, being a homie, and starting to goat up and balling out there on the mounds, let's go over Washington's schedule, and then let's wrap this puppy up. All right, let's talk about the Huskies. Michael Penix last year, unbelievable run for the Huskies, but they lose their head coach to Alabama. He gets balled out. That's pretty soft. How will Washington be this year? Well, we've seen Washington have coaching turnover a lot in recent years, and they have still battled through the adversity, and they've still, found success and gotten to a natty and gotten in the college football playoffs plenty. Remember when they had Doug Peterson?
Oh, yeah.
Was that his name? Or am I confusing that with the NFL coach? The old Boise State coach, when he built up that program back in the day. Remember Statue of Liberty? Remember Fiesta Bowl? Remember the running back who proposed to his girlfriend on the field after they pulled off that crazy upset against Oklahoma? That coach who built up Boise State in the Broncos program went to Washington, built them up, and then left. I forget what happened. I don't know what the fuck it was. Maybe he got fired. I don't remember. Lost his fastball. And they bring in DeBowler, and it didn't skip a beat. If anything, got even better. I'm not really worried too much about them losing their coach. I'm sure whoever they replace him with will be just fine. They're Washington, and they have plenty of NIL as well out there in Seattle. Jovan, are we buying stock in the Huskies, or are we fading them after a great season and they lose their quarterback and coach?
See, I don't know if I want to fade them because they're putting together, there's a lot of moving pieces, obviously, because this is a new regime, but they have a lot of pieces that I kind of want to buy stock into. I just don't know if it starts year one. I was looking to make sure exactly where the guys came from because I was reading up on it, but Steven Belichick is the DC, and he's never run a defense before, but he obviously has a mind and a background that I think could work well, especially in the Big Ten where the offenses aren't nearly the same as the Pac-12. And then you have the O coordinator under Jed Fish coming over, or under Jed Fish at Arizona coming to Washington too. So it's not I don't think they're going to have this massive step down offensive scheme wise either. But we're moving on from Penix, we're moving on from one of the best wide receiving corps I think we've seen outside of like the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson in all of college football the last handful of years. So it's not going to be easy. So I think this is like I think they're going to be decent this year. I think we're going to see flashes, but maybe it's a next year thing where we really start to buy in again because the turnover might take a year or two.
Okay. I will say I do like the quarterback they went out and got from Mississippi State. I like that Will Rogers kid. Will. He will be solid. He's not going to be Michael Penix. Okay. And yes, they're going to be missing a lot of receivers as well, but they did go out in the portal. They got a couple guys. They got the running back from Arizona. They got Will Rogers to play under center. I don't think the drop-off will be as significant, but I mean, you know where my contrarian brain is always at. When a team is successful, that typically has not been as successful in recent years, balls out, you fade them the next year. I'm probably going to be in the middle on this Washington Huskies team, probably going to sit back and just see how it plays out. I don't know if I'll get to the counter fading them because it kind of makes a little too much sense fading the squad right now, Jovan, who just lost everyone, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm probably just kind of stuck in the middle here, and I'm just going to root for them and maybe bet on their individual games. But I don't really have a lean or a sense, how I think they're going to do per their win total or how many games they're going to win or lose.
Yeah, I guess what would concern me a little bit too is the offensive line. We talked all season about how Penix literally never got touched in the pocket. They're missing
elite.
Yeah, it was
O-line.
Again, one of the best
elite
units we've seen for the last couple of years. Crazy stats on those. If you guys want to read up on those, what they did for Penix last year, if you don't know, but he never got touched in the pocket. And Will Rogers doesn't have the same pocket presence. He's going to be behind. I don't want to say a piecemeal offensive line, but I think they're losing like 3 starters. And they got in some transfers that are probably going to help that, but
yeah.
It's just there's a lot of moving pieces for me to buy in
yes.
immediately. But I do think there's stuff there to where like I think they're going to get a couple upsets in the Big Ten, whatever those games may be, and we can look at their schedule. But like long term, I think they're still set up pretty well.
Yep, they'll be fine. This might be a little bit of a gap year. Maybe they struggle. Snell saying in chat, we will make a bowl game. 100%. I agree. They will win 6 games. What is their win total at, Goodsey?
6.5.
6.5. Yeah. It'll be close. It'll be 6 or 7 probably. It's going to be a tough year, but if they can get back to a bowl game, that's probably a win for the Huskies. And they got a couple guys to do it. Don't let Will Rogers get hot. It might be too late, right? He's going to be solid for them. They got a solid running back as well. We'll see how good they are in the trenches, like Jovan was saying, after losing their stacked O-line, losing 2 or 3 of those guys. That's going to be tough.
It'll be pretty tough. And I think their D-line is not fantastic or in fantastic shape now either. So I'm looking at their schedule towards the bottom more so. Like if you're going to let Dylan Gabriel, Miller Moss sit in the pocket for years, kiss your ass goodbye to those games. And we're not even talking about the Big Ten yet. And not that they have the same caliber of quarterbacks, but if you give them all the time in the pocket like Penix had last year, they're probably going to get a lot better. The numbers would be a lot better. But
sure.
What do you think about the Sketch Krabs?
Weber State should be a dub, right? Unless Damian Lillard's coming out in the football helmet.
Probably starting 2-0 unless something absolutely insane happens.
2-0, and then they welcome in their rival at home.
The Apple Cup.
Do you remember who won that game last year?
Washington.
Yeah. Was it not?
Yeah, it was.
Had to be Washington.
Yeah.
Had to be Washington.
I remember it was
always
sweaty.
close,
It was
dude.
late.
It's
yeah.
always sweaty.
Wazoo always gives up a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but now Wazoo's no Cam Ward.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to be.
They might be cookies.
But, the game's going to be close. It's going to be weird. This is what, especially with them not being in a conference, this is their Super Bowl.
Yep.
Not that it wasn't already, but.
Good point. Take the spread with Washington State, but Washington probably still wins. So that's 3-0. Northwestern at home. Not really worried about that. That's probably another win there too.
Probably.
They probably split you think they split the Rutgers, Northwestern, Michigan game? They win 2 out of 3 of those?
See, I feel like it's a scary game at Rutgers.
Rutgers.
Not that I'm like the biggest Rutgers believer, but I'm just super interested of how these games are going to go against these more hard-nosed defensive teams, against a team that's very offensive, very open, but they, I don't know, may not have everything together by that point.
Right.
So, I would probably say they drop that game, and then they ain't beating Michigan.
So there's 2 losses.
You know what? I'll give them 2 out of 3 losses between Rutgers, Michigan,
games.
Iowa.
Okay.
Rutgers is also Friday night. Weird game, especially when Washington plays fucking Friday night.
That will be a weird game.
In
Friday
New
night,
Jersey.
Pac-12 after dark.
Yeah.
Not that it's Pac-12 anymore, but
And then at Indiana, USC at home, another rebuilding team that needs to figure it out. Penn State on the road.
yeah, they ain't
Good
going.
luck.
Yeah.
That's the
luck.
whiteout game. Yeah, they're not winning that.
Good luck.
Have fun.
UCLA comes into town. They probably win that game too. Maybe they give Oregon a run for their money. Yeah, I'm seeing probably 6 wins.
Yeah.
I'm seeing probably 6 wins, maybe 7. I know that 6 number is massive, though, for these teams, right? Trying to get into a bowl game, and I'm sure that'll be their goal, their realistic goal. I mean, they're going to try to go undefeated, but to get to a bowl game after this rebuild, right, that's probably a win for this Huskies team. And looking at the schedule, it's not going to be easy, but I'm seeing 6 wins. I think they go under their win total, but they do make a bowl game.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I'm on kind of the same wavelength there.
Dubs. And yeah, do not sleep on Rutgers. Talk about another team, another school that's going to thrive off this NIL time period. Rutgers has plenty of cash. Look at their
Rutgers.
basketball team. Look what they're doing right now. They got 2 of the top prospects in the country coming there next year. Okay, don't sleep on their football team either. They're getting better.
Can't
All right.
do it.
Rutgers. All right, chat W's. I think we talked about plenty for today. All right, we came on here with no games on during the day, and we still talked for, almost 2 hours. So I'm pretty happy. Maybe we'll do a little spaces or something, talking about some MLB season second half squares later. That could be something I'm down
Yeah,
with.
could do that
Maybe we
tomorrow
do
too.
Yeah, we could do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tag that on the end of
I was
NFL.
looking if we could do that Friday, but the first game's at 1:20 on Friday, so it might not work too well.
Mm,
But definitely
Yeah.
maybe a space is a good idea for that.
yeah. I do want to get a MLB second half season lineup crafted.
Yeah.
Sure.
Has to be done. And the first game, Goots is saying, starts up around 1 p.m. Friday.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. We got a little bit of time, but not too much.
Yeah.
Chat W's. We wanted to come on here and talk about some college football for you, pull some clips, find some winners, and roast Colorado. That was the main goal for today. And also gas up Jovan and Lauren's championship matchup for college football 25 tonight, which Goots is at what time?
5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern.
6:30 Eastern on the Bookit Sports Twitch. You better
Yes.
be there, be square. That's going to be a great game. 2 of the only actually good players. Respectfully, Rav and Goots. I know you guys are working on your game, but 2 of the best players going against each other. It was minus 1,000. We'd see this matchup in the championship. We got it. We'll see who pulls it out. Jovan, how are you feeling heading into the championship matchup tonight?
I'm feeling good. Like you said, you expected this from the start, so
Sure.
I've secretly been prepping, ever since, just in my head, preparing for this matchup.
Running
It's
never
been-
plays, trick plays, memorizing the first drive.
I guess, yeah. I was
Massive
talking with my OC Shelly about the scripted first drive. So we've been going over that for the last couple hours here.
Chats. They're not going to let it squeak. They're not going to let the Hample doc squeak.
Movie nights.
They're not going to let the Hample doc squeak, are they? Chat, what are you guys doing tonight? You're not doing shit. It's a Wednesday. You're not doing anything.
We're not watching Hample Docs tonight.
I think we might have to watch it tonight.
Yeah,
How?
Late night.
put it up there.
Like
Post-
late night Hample.
late night Hample doc right up there.
Should
Same
not be
setup.
early night.
I will be in bed.
It might have to be a late night Hample show. Tonight's the only night we can do it.
Yeah, tonight's tonight.
It's tonight or no night, chat.
Should I leak spread a little bit?
No spread leakage. No.
you can leak spreadage. You can leak spreadage.
Oh.
You got graphics
No, I
ready.
leak
It's
it.
going up soon.
I
anyway.
leak spreadage.
Late night Hample is the only option tonight. Chad, here's the deal. We've got championship matchup between Jovan and Lauren. That's going to be epic. You better be there, be square. I think rumor has it we might be hopping on the sticks and playing some 2v2s, college football streams after that as well, getting the rest of the squad involved. After that, depending on what time it ends, I would be down to stick around and watch the fucking Zach Hample doc with you. Now, I'm still pretty blown and upset we didn't watch the 14-minute shortened version that's free. But I'm a man of my words, and I will watch the hour and 39-minute full documentary with you guys and pay $9.99 to Zach Hample to purchase it. I will. I'll do it. I'll be the guy. So if you guys want that late night tonight, I'm in. But just know it might be a little later than typical for a Night Sweats type thing since we have the College Football 25 stream tonight. All right?
Maybe it's a halftime show.
Could be maybe halftime show.
Out in 30-minute halftime.
Bruh.
Not
Like a-
literal halftime, but
like
in
a Super
between-
Bowl performance.
in between games.
Instead, we just have the
maybe
Hample
later.
doc.
Yeah.
I'm blown, Chad. We didn't see him around the stadium for All-Star game or Home Run Derby. He's kind of tiny, though, and small. He probably was hiding behind some sort of post. Couldn't find Hample. Could not ask him any cues, but I'm sure that little weasel was in there somewhere. Had to be. All right, chat. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll do another in-person BTL. We'll talk about some NFL futures, and maybe we'll just tack on some MLB season talk and craft up a little lineup for you guys as well.
Rumors that we're doing some Goat Well talk with Trent potentially too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Trent needs to lock in and find some NFL squares.
He's been itching for Goat Well squares. Any and all ideas. He has been searching.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were talking about it
this morning.
earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's stressing.
He's starting to get stressed.
He's stressing a little
He's
bit.
not doing any work to find winners, but he's getting stressed.
No,
He wants people to give him to him.
Yeah, he's texted me or told me to my face probably 20 times in the past week, bro.
Well, then
Dude,
he
you
wants
gotta
it.
get
Yeah,
some
let's,
goals.
Earlier when we were talking about it, he's like, "Yeah, it's really hard when Giovanni doing his job."
Dude, like I've given him the same answer, the same couple squares for a week, and he's like, "Dude, you're not giving me any fucking Goat Well whales,
it's like,
bro."
it's July 17th.
Yeah, like I've told you what I have like 3 Goat Well squares that I'm for sure putting in my own well, and I've repeated that same answer so many times.
man.
He wants you to give it to you like he gives Manny his treats, just
I
like
know.
in hand, right into
Crazy.
his mouth like a puppy.
All right. Well, we got a couple things we got to do before me and Goots head back. So we got plenty on the agenda, chat. You guys better be there tonight for the college football streams. You better be there late nights for the Hample shop and watch sesh. That's going to be atrocious. It's the only way I'm going to be able to watch it, though. And then we will pick it up tomorrow live in person, BTL. Be there, be square. Maybe we'll even get Trent on and talk about some NFL squares. All right. I'm in. Chat, we'll catch you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Thank you for dropping by. Thank you for the subbies, PP Gurus, subbing up Snellzilla. Dubs. We'll be seeing gents.
W's.
We'll catch you tomorrow.